in which he addressed today. It is very, very crucial for those who understand. But I am going to deal with this. He's called Mr. Christophe Guihou. You will see him on my left side or right side, on my left side of the screen. It's called Christophe Guihou. If I don't pronounce it well, but that is not the questions. But what I want to talk about these issues is the statement he made about the Southern Cameroon issues. And he specifically said that France will not support any territorial integrity of Cameroon. But that is the problems. You know, the problem of Africa is that because of France continue meddling in the internal affairs of Africa, and because they value their own personal interests rather than the interests of Africa as a whole. First of all, Southern Cameroon, before they came into this crisis, because of injustice perpetrated by the Europeans against Africa as a whole. Southern Cameroon shouldn't be part of La Republique du Cameroun. Southern Cameroon should not be part of La Republique. It should have been a nation on its own that should have been recognized by the world community. But the world community failed absolutely in a disgruntled way. Let's look at, that is the French ambassador to La Republique du Cameroun. When the slaughtering of citizens of Southern Cameroon, French has not in any circumstances. Remember that when Professor Maurice Kamto was in jail, French president, forced that he should be released, and he was released. Prior to that, we have our own citizens, Ayub Tabe and his own members that has been there, been jailed for a long period of time, life sentences, 15 years. They treated their own French citizens differently as they treated us, the English-speaking, differently. We are being recognized as a different people in La Republique du Cameroun. So our freedom depends upon us. Our liberty, it depends upon us. And so I am here to make it clear. Those who go behind to carry on any negotiation with La Republique without the consent of the people will pay the price on behalf of Southern Cameroon. This is a serious matter that I want to make clear. Those who claim to be leadership must take into consideration that the people of Southern Cameroon has suffered enough. And this is the moment that we have determined that we don't have any obligation to live together with La Republique du Cameroun. We do not have any obligations. And so because we do not have an obligation to live with La Republique du Cameroun, then we have been a sovereign nation. And we have every indication to show that we have been a sovereign nation. Because we have been a sovereign nation, La Republique has not demonstrated a meaningful democratic form of government as the people of Southern Cameroon has demonstrated. Southern Cameroon has elected cabinet, transfer power from one elected cabinet to the next, without any war, without any injustice. It was a normal procedure. First with I'm sorry, I mean, this stupid French ambassador is disgusting. To be honest, and entire France as a whole. You look, the images that is coming on is our citizens that have been slaughtered. It's our people that have been killed. It's the injustice that has been carried on against our own people and that we are suffering. And yet, it doesn't matter to the international community. They worry more about La Republique than we are that we're suffering the slaughtering of our people. I think it is the moment that we must stand united and say no to injustice to this world community. Let's look. First, La Republique has not demonstrated. La Republique has not demonstrated that they are honest. France, let's first of all look at the UPC. UPC was supposed to have been the party that has won election in La Republique du Cameroun. France intentionally banned the UPC, forced a hijo onto the people of La Republique, and murdered the citizens, including the Bamileke, the Bassas, that were fighting for a true democratic society in La Republique. France has not. France persecuted all of the Bamilekes, the Bassas, and carried on what they call the guillotine. Guillotine is a method of slaughtering people, cutting their head. It began in France, called the guillotine, that was instituted in France as a method of injustice. But now they have transferred those guillotine in 1960s because Bassa could have been the winner of the party in La Republique, but they did not allow it. So why did they see us to be the people that we have to stay with La Republique du Cameroun? And that is why Christophe, Guihou, the so-called French ambassador, that the people like they recognize the territorial integrity of Cameroon. This is where we are suffering. Territorial integrity of Cameroon. Our people have their own government. They have their own government, their own territorial integrity, recognized at the United Nations headquarters. And they should respect those terms and the document and recognize our people their right and privilege to exist as people. Sonara, which is in Victoria, Sonara is an oil refinery that is in Southern Cameroon. The entire employee, 80% of the employee in Sonara were all francophones. And the company is based in Southern Cameroon. There was one single, among all the four cadres, the four cadres of Sonara, the entire were all francophones. And yet, the company is in Southern Cameroon. The minerals are exploited in Southern Cameroon. And yet, the people of Southern Cameroon doesn't even have any opportunity to benefit out of it. To benefit out of it, even though it is in their territory. You have the president, it's La Republique. Speaker of the Assembly is La Republique. Constitutional is La Republique. Every member of the high level self-defense La Republique. But everything is La Republique du Cameroun. They control every aspect. They control every aspect that the people of Southern Cameroon has no voice, even no voice to talk. They have no voice to talk. They have no voice. Despite the fact that the people of Southern Cameroon is a sovereign government. Let's look at some of the key. I'm going to post some of this on my screen. Look on the right side of the screen. And the people that are, if you are educated, let's face the fact and follow the true education and clarify facts. The fact that being declared that we are secessionists, that is wrong and immoral. That is wrong and immoral. If we are saying veracity, which means we stand for the truth. If we want to declare secession, let's be let's speak of the truth. Who is the city? If Western Province is leaving La Republique, if Littoral is leaving La Republique, that is what is called secession. They are seceding because in 1960, January 1960, when France tabled the document of La Republique at the United Nations, Southern Cameroon wasn't part of the country. And therefore, Southern Cameroon shouldn't be described as a national community is using against our people and for force and injustice upon the people of Southern Cameroon. Tell them straight away and say, no, we are not seceding. If Western, if Grand North, that was original package of La Republique that was tabled at the United Nations, and if they choose to leave La Republique, that is what is called secession. They're seceding because they were part of La Republique. That is Southern Cameroon cabinet. That is Southern Cameroon cabinet. La Republique had their own cabinet. La Republique did not appoint that cabinet. La Republique did not elect any member of those cabinets. Southern Cameroon has his own cabinet, his own government, and his own privilege to exist as a people. It wasn't appointed by La Republique to travel to Nigeria. When Southern Cameroon presided over its meeting, it wasn't, those cabinets were not presided over by La Republique as members. So the people of Southern Cameroon have the right and the privilege to have their own politicism. It's because we are blacks. We are blacks. And because we are blacks, they don't care about our people that are blacks. Because they worry more about their own, about mineral resources. They worry about those. They care less about Africa. Listen to one of the British representatives describe his own government. And then we move from there.
On the 7th of June this year, the Guardian newspaper ran a special feature on the brutal campaign of violence by the regime of Cameroon's President Biya against English-speaking communities in the west of the country, which were formerly known as British Cameroon, communities to whom we owe a historic responsibility. They quoted in The Guardian the ordinary men and women who saw their villages attacked by Biya's military, who saw their neighbours and families members killed, and that they were forced to flee for their lives. They quoted the charity workers who were looking after thousands of displaced women and children for whom they warned going home would be suicide. Now, by any normal moral standard, you would expect the UK government to read those reports and be appalled. But not this government. The very next day, after that report was published, the British Trade Secretary announced a £1.5 billion deal with a British national gas company and President Biya's regime. A deal which, in the words of the Trade Department's press release, will, quote, generate a huge stream of revenue for Cameroon's public trade.
You see, that was the Southern Cameroon. That was the Southern Cameroon budget. That was the Southern Cameroon budget that was tabled in West Cameroon Parliament. It was not tabled in La Republique. Southern Cameroon has its own sovereign government, sovereign parliament, prime minister, and a defense system. And yet, British control the life of the people of Southern Cameroon. People of Southern Cameroon during the British administrator in the Enugu House of Assembly. That is where they all met to discuss issues affecting both Nigeria and Southern Cameroon territory. It wasn't met in La Republique. And yet our people are being slaughtered, murdered like animals because of injustice in this world that we live in. If we are speaking and standing for the truth, let's all stand for the truth and speak the truth and maintain the truth. Why is this? Because we happen to be an African and then nobody cared. Since nobody cared, they can slaughter whatever they do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How should it matter? When they are animals, they can be killed at any how. So long as the interest of the European is concerned, they don't care less about Africa. They don't care less about Southern Cameroon. So long as the mineral they can extract it and feed their own citizens, and then the Southern Cameroon become the slaughtering house. And that is the current hypocrisy of this world community. Because if we are speaking standing for the law, then let's stand for the law. Article Article 1514 SV of the United Nations, that is a document that is specified decolonization. And if Southern Cameroon was part of a colonial territory and they were acquired by the British government after the Second World War, after the Second World War, it was unanimously decided that all the territorial integrity be given their prior independence. And if Article 1540 SV of the United Nations specified decolonization, then the people of Southern Cameroon should be decolonized. The people of Southern Cameroon should be decolonized. And that is what is keeping. If the world wants to respect justice, then there should be decolonization now, and then respect the territorial integrity of the people of Southern Cameroon and let the people manage their own territory. You cannot force the people. If we are standing for the law, then let's respect the law. If we are standing for injustice, then let's go for the injustice, because that is the wrong. That is morally wrong. That is morally wrong. That is morally wrong. You know? That is why our people. I cannot imagine how many of our brothers, our young children are being killed each day by the French military, that they have no privilege or whatsoever over the Southern Cameroon territory. They have no privilege. They impose upon the people of Southern Cameroon and French citizens to manage us. We are educated. We went to the same education, even more the best education. We study here in the United States. Others study in Great Britain. Others study in France. And they have this moral education standard. And they went to the same school where this individual leadership of the world community had their own president. We went to the same school. We have the same knowledge, the same intelligence, the same ability. But yet, because they fraud, so that it would be access for them to harvest. When France became part of Southern, when France ever became France's relationship with La Republique, France never visited Southern Cameroon until when the incident happened. That is when France started visiting Southern Cameroon. France never. Do they? That's why France is having this problem. Just hold on a minute. Hold on a minute, Stacy. Don't go away. Okay. All right. Drive safely. Yeah. All right. We'll talk. Bye. I apologize. You know, it is painful. It is painful to see the world carry on injustice to humanity. It's painful to see injustice that the world are inflicted upon humanity, because they don't want to stand for the simple and the simple truth. And that is what the people of Southern Cameroon, that's what you see on the Facebook, to Instagram, people, young boys killed in Southern Cameroon by La Republique du Cameroon, because the world doesn't want to respect. That is the, on my right side, that is the budget presented to the Southern Cameroon member of parliament in Southern Cameroon, not in La Republique, for Christ's sake. And yet we have ammunition. 20,000 of our people have been killed unjustly because of the world that is standing against reality. I mean, let's just hold on. Of the United Nations Charter. If you have ever appeared in in the US court system, then you will be admire the fairness of the justice system of the United States. But what image is on the Secretary for African Affairs painting? 3,000 of our people, or 4,000 has been killed. Young, able children killed by the military brutality of this person, Paul Biya, that the U.S. Undersecretary. Let's see if I still have the video between what he spoke on the France Radio International, and then you see
will be the president in 2019.
that is the U.S. Undersecretary
At
for
the
African
time,
Affairs.
the way the election
Pay
that
attention.
I observed in 1991 went, the possibility was certainly there. You know, he has been in charge of Cameroon, I think, longer now than I believe any other serving African head of state. Maybe Obiang, but I think definitely there. The problem is, with such long service, so many fundamental problems have gone unaddressed, and we see this now in the Northwest South Anglophone side. The Cameroon...
Which is, you are violating the law because the speed is specified. And if you are running above that speed, you are stopped. Therefore, you violate the law. So if we are a country, we respect law, then let's apply it uniformly. La Republique du Cameroon has no ownership of Southern Cameroon. That is a clear and distinctive fact. Article 1514. Article 1514, SV of the United Nations Charter. Let's put it on the table and debate upon it. Decolonization. Article 1608 of the United Nations Charter. That was voted here in the United States. Let's go and revisit it. Let's put it on the table. Then let's find out the problems. All these writing, telling stories are not facts and doesn't yield to the solutions. Let's go back to the table and talk and speak the reality, and let's accept the reality and let's solve the problems. La Republique has no ownership of Southern Cameroon. The fact that they are living together, there is no legal document that binds La Republique du Cameroun together. Southern Cameroon is a fraud with the complicity of France that has caused the lives of the people of Southern Cameroon. Imagine that those lives were happening in Europe. There would have been a crisis emergency meeting to be called and debate about the crisis. But since it's in Africa, it doesn't matter to them because they don't worry about it. Since they are experimental guinea pig that can be killed at anyhow, so they worry less about it. Slaughter. Let's look. This is not just that. Perpetrated by Haiti. But it's only applicable only to the Europeans themselves, and it doesn't applicable to other parts of the world because they don't consider them. Let's Republique were being voted in 1960, that particular territory was not part of La Republique in 1960. If injustice were not respected, United States is not a nation of injustice. If the United States fought against Britain because no representative at the UK government no represent, the concept was clear. United disenfranchised. Our people are being deprived of their privilege. Our people are being robbed of their privilege to exist as people because of the injustice that is here in this our planet, because we don't want to stand for the truth. If we are for the truth, let's stand for the truth. Let's stand for the veracity. Let's stand for the veracity. Let's take moral code of conduct, and that we will observe and preserve the moral conduct of ethics that we must. Our people have to lose. Our case is not synonymously the same with the Biafra Nigeria. When the UK government or the UK administrative authority filed Nigeria to the United Nations for a sovereignty, Biafra was part of Nigeria. Biafra was territory of Nigeria. Therefore, that doesn't mean that they cannot succeed if there is ample evidence that there is discrimination, violation of human rights. They have the right and privilege. But our case is not uniformly the same like the Biafra case. That some people often misquote that Nigeria is not uniformly the same. Our territory in 1960, when La Republique was declared as the United Nations, was not part of La Republique. And in 1961, Southern Cameroon, La Republique was not part of Southern Cameroon. Those are distinctive differences between the people of Southern Cameroon and the neighboring country like Nigeria. And so therefore, people should Prime Minister of Southern Cameroon. That is the residential area. That is the residential area of the Prime Minister, head of government of Southern Cameroon. They have 3 Prime Ministers that have been in that presidency. They have had 3 Prime Ministers that have been in that presidency, that have ruled Southern Cameroon, that have changed office, changed leadership without a single gunshot, without fighting. It was unanimously accepted for the result of the elections. And other members of Prime Minister become an opposition in parliament. There was a respect, unanimous harmony between the people of Southern Cameroon and the neighboring country, La Republique and Nigeria. Why should the world twist the reality and focus upon the wrong? And that is why the people of Southern Cameroon become the target of slaughtering, and yet the world doesn't see the truth. If we are speaking, standing for truth, let's be firmly on the truth. We cannot speak injustice and apply injustice systematically. And that is why I am like the world to understand, fellow citizens here in the United States. As you see injustice upon the people of Southern Cameroon, when we post slaughtering of our citizens, it's because of the injustice that apply upon our people without regard to due process. Without regard to the due process. And that is why our people become in the slaughtering house. Because of injustice. That is why the French ambassador will have the audacity that he will recognize the integrity of La Republique. Of course. They have the military weapon. They have all the guns that they can use. Our people are going to be killed. We were going to kill till the last person. But the last person that will survive will proclaim our territory free from La Republique. And that is the philosophy we're going to stand upon. You all listen to what happened to us. That is the badge of the police of Southern Cameroon. That is the badge of the police of Southern Cameroon. Expect the British Prime Minister. We have lost 3,000, 5,000 souls that have been deliberately killed. You have not seen a British Prime Minister on a single TV address that this is a morally wrong crisis in Southern Cameroon. The British Prime Minister would not even mention about it. The series of other Prime Ministers, they wouldn't even mention about it. Of course. All a series of prime ministers. The current John, whatever it is, he cannot even mention about it. They cannot even address it, that this is an issue of concern, despite the fact that it has been deep in education. Yes, and they thought we cannot read, we cannot write, and yet we are physically here. We went to the same school they went to. Justice. Except the Ghanaian president no longer have the power to speak. That is struggling. You cannot see a president in Africa say no to injustice and stand for the truth, because that is the truth. But they choose the wrong to guide their moral principles. They choose wrong to guide their moral principles for code of ethics, code of injustice. That is the world that we live in. The moral code of ethics has been avoided and choose the injustice become the moral code of the normal norms. Fellow brothers and sisters, we will stand up for injustice and we will speak up for injustice. Fellow Southern Cameroon,